Can anyone hear me? Hello? Okay, great. Okay, let's start. So today's Friday. You already did your midterm 2 online. Based on the result, you guys do a very good job. I think the average of the both midterm 2, part 1 and part 2 together, the average is around 90. So most of you guys do a very good job. One second. Okay. I'm going to post another homework tonight. Please make sure that you spend some time to do your homework. The homework will be mainly about in chapter 16. You're going to see your answers of your midterms, both midterms, midterm 2 part 1 and part B online on Blackboard Zoom. It will open to you, it will give you the detailed feedback, including the explanation of all the questions you did. So if you want to see what's your answers, you want to go back to study your midterms, you're allowed to do that. I think the answers, the detailed feedback will be open after 11:50, I think. So you're probably going to, you can see all the detailed answers of the midterm 2 on Connect Zoom. I think you can access to all the answers and explanation tomorrow, I think. Okay. So today we're going to learn chapter 23. This is the another chapter. We only have two more chapters left. So this is the chapter. I'm going to, one second. Let me share this thing. Okay. So this is the second chapter we're going to talk about in this chapter in this class. If you still remember that in our last chapter, we talk about how the monopoly company and the pure competition company, they're going to decide what will be the wage and what will be the number of the employees for they to hire. And in this chapter, the major things we're going to cover in this chapter is we're going to cover the income equality and the poverty rate and the discrimination against all the employees in the United States. Okay. So we majorly going to talk about in the United States, how we going to measure, how we going to tell the income equality. We're going to introduce two very important ratio and curve to tell you how to measure the income equality. And we're going to talk a little bit about the poverty rate. What would be the major reason the poverty, some group of people in the United States is poor. And we're going to talk about this discrimination against the employees. We're going to talk about 3 major discrimination. So in this chapter, the good news is in this chapter, you don't actually have any calculation questions. All the questions in these chapters are all definition questions, which is very, very easy for you to finish it. But you do need to know what does this all definition knowledge telling you. Okay, so in here, let's talk about the first one. Okay, so let's talk about the first part of this chapter, the income equality. The income equality tells you what would be the people, okay? It tells you, okay, what would be the difference between the income for all group of people in the United States. So it gave you the average household income. Okay, the average household income in 2014 is $68,426, and that was in 2014, and this is among the highest in the world. But however, even though our average house income is high, but however, the income equality rate in the United States is actually also among the highest in the world. The income distributed by quantiles, which means there are many group of people. Okay, there are some very, very rich people and there are some very, very poor people. And how we gonna to measure the income equality? We're going to introduce two things right here. This is the two very important thing right here. The first one is giving you a picture, giving you a curve, tells you whether the income is equal or unequal. It's called the Lorenz curve. The second one is a ratio called the Gini ratio. In your exam, I don't think I'm going to test you how to calculate the Gini ratio, but you do need to know what does the Gini ratio tells you. Okay, so the Lorenz curve is the curve showing the distribution of the income in the economic. Okay, so it will give you a curve. If the income is perfectly equally distributed, then the curve will be a straight line, 45 degrees straight line. Okay, 45 degrees straight line, very, very perfect straight line curve. Okay, that's when the income is equally distributed. And the Gini ratio tells you the overall dispersion of the income among household. The only thing you need to know in this slide about Gini ratio, you do need to know what does this ratio tells you. It tells you the higher the number, the higher the Gini ratio, the more inequality of the income in the economy. So on the exam, you're probably going to see some figure questions about the Lorenz curve and the Gini ratio. Okay, so in this slides, it tells you the basically average of the household income. If you check the median of the household, the average household income in the history, okay, right here, can you guys see it? So you will see, okay, in 2006, okay, United States hit the highest household income. However, because of the 2008 and 2009 financial crisis, you see the figure go down a lot, okay, and it become better until 2018, and you're probably gonna see this curve going to go down again because of the COVID-19 situation. Okay, so this is tells you the median of household income, the average household income. If you want to find out more about these things, you can go to the census, the government, and it tells you based on different, okay, states, what does the income, okay, and you see here, Virginia is actually among one of the highest income state. You see Virginia is right here. So it give you the Virginia median household income is around 72,000. So again, it also give you more information about the household income right here. Give you, you see there's 10% of the income, 10% of the household actually earn more than $20,000, okay? So again, this just give you the basic idea or the information about the median household income in 2018. You're gonna see these figures, you're gonna drop very, very soon, okay? So let's back here. Here is also the same thing, tells you the income distribution. What does the percentage of a household in this category? So in here, it give you, this is in 2018, 2016, I think, okay, again, you will see 12% of the United States household, they actually earn under 15,000 per year. We're gonna talk about the poverty rate. If you earn less than 15,000 a year, you are considered as a poor, very poor family. So you will see there's still a large group of people that actually can earn more than 75% or almost 35% of the household, they can earn more than 75,000 per year, which is considered relatively rich. And here is talk about the distribution by quintiles, okay? So you see the lowest 20% of the quintiles, and on the column 1 here, it tells you the percentage of the household. According to here is talk about the percentage of the total income of the United States. And in column 3 here, it give you the upper income limit. So you see here, okay, for the lowest 20% of the household in the United States, the total money they earn is only equal to 3.1% of the total income of the United States. And you see here, the top 20% of the household in the United States, they can actually earn more than half of the income of the United States, which means there's a big difference between the lowest 20% of the household and the highest 20% of the household in the United States. You see, Okay, the highest 20% of the United States household, they can earn almost half of the total United States, the whole country's economy. And on the other side, the lowest 20%, they can only earn 3.1%. The difference is huge, okay? So if you still recall, back in 2011, if you happen to in New York City, you will see there is a thing called, okay, they're going to occupy the Wall Street. One of the reasons behind these things is because this is actually one of the very famous, okay, activity that against the income and wealth inequality in the United States. They say the wealthiest 1% of the people are worse in Wall Street, and the other 99%, they're actually pretty poor. So this is why they want to occupy the Wall Street. So if you happen to be, I still remember, okay, during that time, that's in 2011, at the end of 2011. And I was actually traveled to New York during that time. We see a lot of people, they have a sign say, we are the 99%, which means their income is very, very, how to say, very, very small compared to the 1% richest people in Wall Street. So you go there, you will see, okay, a lot of protests are over there to occupy the Wall Street. They want to fight for the income equality, okay, because they think, okay, the people, the income are so unequally distributed, because the 1% of people who live in Wall Street, they basically have the control of the wealth of the whole country, okay? So this is just a basic idea. One of my students before, they actually do a group project about the Wall Street right here. But however, again, because we don't have a group project anymore, but if you are interested in these things, you can dig a little bit more about Occupy the Wall Street back in 2011. Okay, it's actually a very, very, how to say, historical move in my opinion. You see, these things last for months. Okay, still I think it's last until 2020 in the January. So you see these things here. Okay, the American 99% are poor and 1% are rich, and the 1% was in Wall Street, and people are all holding these kind of signs during back in 2011. So back to what we know right here, this is just tells you, okay, in United States, even though our average household income is actually high, but however, our income equality is also very, very high, okay? So let's go to the Lorenz curve and the Gini ratio. So this is the Lorenz curve. As I mentioned before, if the Lorenz curve is a perfect straight line, a 45-degree straight line, okay, a 45-degree straight, this blue line right here, which means the income is perfectly equally, okay, perfectly equally. And if you see, okay, A, B, C, D right here, this is actually the actual curve, okay, so this is the actual distribution. So you see, in the real life, okay, I don't see any country have a Lorenz curve is a 45-degree line. Okay, it's a straight line. In all countries in the world, okay, they say it's a curve. It's not Lorenz line. It says curve because the Lorenz curve, because even though the highest, okay, how to say, freedom country, their income still is very, very unequally. They will have some inequality. So you see right here. So this red line is the Lorenz curve. How are we gonna just say compared to the Lorenz curve, okay? So the general rule for Lorenz curve is the more the curve shift to the right side, the more income inequality it has, it indicates, okay? So for example, so this is the Lorenz curve. Compare this curve to this curve, okay? So what we have here is curve 1, what we have here is curve 2. So if we compare curve 1 to curve 2, because curve 2, this line I draw is more curved to the shift to the right side. It tells you the curve 2 right here is more unequally, okay? So it's more unequally. Okay, compared to C1. So the Lorenz curve, okay, the decision, and it's very, very easy to see. okay? If the curve is a straight line, like this blue line right here, it tells you it's perfectly equally. The more the curve move to the left side or move to the middle to the straight line right here, the more equally here it tells you. The more the curve move to the right side, okay, move to the right side, the more unequally it tells you, okay? This should be very, very easy. And what does the Gini ratio tells you? So once we have a Lorentz curve right here, this Lorentz curve will be separate this triangle to two areas, area A and area B. Okay, so how are we going to calculate the Gini ratio? The Gini ratio, we're using the area of A right here, okay, divided by the total triangle area right here. Okay, so again, how are we going to calculate the Gini ratio? We use this area, this blue area, area A, okay, divide by this huge area right here, this big area, this yellow area, this triangle area right here. So it tells you if the Lorentz curve move to the, for example, if the Lorentz curve, okay, so this is the straight line. If the Lorentz curve move to the right side more, okay, so for example, if the Lorentz curve is like this, which means this area is bigger, is higher, okay? So which means this area, okay, right here, this area, area A, this area is higher considered to this triangle. So if this number is higher, which tells you the Gini ratio is also higher. And if the Gini ratio is higher, it tells you the income inequality is also higher. Okay, so again, it tells you again, so you do need to know what does this relationship tells you. What would be this very important relationship tells you? Okay, so we have two things right here. Okay, the Lorentz curve. Sorry. Okay, we have two things right here. We have the Lorentz curve right here. The more the Lorentz curve shift to the right side, okay, the more the Lorentz curve. So for example, the more the Lorentz curve shift to the right side, okay, shift to the right side, the more the income inequality will be, okay, and it will lead to the higher the Gini ratio, okay, so you do need to know that. And can anyone tells me, okay, if you answer this question correct, I will give you some extra credit. Can anyone tells me when will be the Gini ratio equal to 0? Yeah, very good job, Sarah. Okay. So when will be the Gini ratio will be equal to 0? It will happen at which line right here? So can anyone tell me? We have two lines right here. It will happen at which line? Okay, if we talk about this figure. Yeah, very good job, Amber and Tucker. Very good job. Okay, so the Gini ratio will be equal to 0 when the Lorentz curve is a straight line right here. Okay, so the Gini ratio will be equal to 0 when the Lorentz curve is equal to 45 degrees. Okay, so what does that tells you? Okay, so if the Lorentz curve is equal to 45 degrees, okay, so the picture will be look like this. Okay, so what will be the area A stand for? So this whole area right here, this whole area right here, it will be equal to area B. And area A, in this case, okay, if the Lorentz curve is 45 degrees, it will be equal to 0. So 0 divided by anything is equal to 0. So the Gini ratio will be equal to 0 when the Lorentz curve is a 45 degree straight line. Okay, it should be very, very easy. So once you know that, you should be able to answer at least 5 questions in this chapter. Very, very easy. Okay. And here, this is about the tax and the transfer impact. You know that in the United States, the tax is different based on how much you earn. The more you earn, the more tax you're going to pay. So this is actually one of the way the government try to solve the income equality things. So the Lorenz curve after tax and transfer, it will move to the middle. It will move to the left side a little bit compared before tax and transfer. Again, in United States, the higher income you have, the more tax you're going to pay. So this is the way that the government try to figure out how to solve for the income equality in United States. Okay, it's very, very easy. So the answer, the question you're gonna see on the exam is pretty much like this. I'm sorry, it should be, you already see the answers right here. I forgot to cover it. But however, this is the question you're probably gonna see on your exam. They give you several curves right here. Okay, so and give you the percentage of family and percentage of income right here. So asking you, okay, refer to the diagram where curve A through curve E are the Lorenz curve for 5 different countries. The income is equally distributed. Okay, so it asks you what will be equally distributed. Okay, so the income is perfectly equally distributed when the Lorenz curve is straight line. Okay, so it will be curve A. Okay, so it's country A. Very easy. Okay, the next question. The Gini ratio is lowest in country what? Okay, so as we mentioned before, the Gini ratio will be equal to 0 when the Lorenz curve is a straight line. So the Gini ratio, it will be lowest in country A because during that situation, the Gini ratio is equal to 0. Okay. Okay, and the next questions. Okay. Of the countries listed below, the income is most unequally distributed in country what? Okay, some of my students, they are very, very, okay, this is the type of question they used to mess up. We have actually A, B, C, D, E, five countries right here. Okay, and we do have 2 very extreme cases in this case. So we have country A. Okay, so country A is this straight line. Okay, so country A is perfectly equally. Okay, so this is perfectly equal. Okay, and we also have country E right here, and you will see country E is this line. Okay, so for country E, this is what we call perfectly unequally. Okay, so in here it says the income is most equally distributed in country what? Okay, however, in the answers here we only have A, B, C, D. Okay, if the answer have E, you're gonna choose E. But however, because the answer they only give you A, B, C, D, so you choose the income which will be the most unequally distributed. Okay, if we talk about only these 4 countries, you will see because for country D, the curve is more shift to the right side. So for country D, the income is more unequally distributed. Okay, very, very easy. Okay, and here, refer to the diagram or refer to the graph. If the Lorenz curve shift from B to D, D to B, shift from B to D, the Gini ratio degree will be what? Okay. So it tells you if this curve is shifted to the left side. Okay, as we mentioned before, if the curve is okay, if the Lorenz curve, okay, is shift to the left, okay, which means the Gini ratio, it will be decreased. Okay, so the answer will be B. Okay, very, very easy. You're probably gonna see the exactly same questions on your midterms and on your finals. Okay. Very, very easy. Oh, 1 second. Okay. And here, we already talked about this. The Gini ratio will be equal to 0 when, okay, at curve A right here. Okay, very easy also. Okay. So that's all the income equality things I'm going to test you on your first part of the questions, first part of this chapter. we talk about income inequality, okay, the things I'm going to test you is all about this picture right here, the Lorenz curve and Gini ratio, okay? And the question, the example question, you're probably going to see on your PowerPoint, okay, you will see on here. And here we're going to talk about the income mobility. It tells you the income will change for the people, okay? For example, the higher the education you got, the higher the income you will got. Okay, the older you became, the more income you can get, okay? The rich you became, the more money you can earn, okay? There's always a word saying that the more money you have, the more money you can make, okay? The less money you have, the how to say, the poor people you became, okay? Anyway, so it tells you the income mobility, the income will change, the people will change quantiles. So for example, right now you guys are all very young. After 10 years, you will see your income at least will be increased for a certain amount. And the lower income and higher income is not a permanent condition. It will be changed based on time, based on education, based on experience, based on some situations, okay? And the government redistribution, okay? Every government, okay, for example, each year, not each year, I mean, each president, they will have their own tax policy. So for example, for President Trump, he lowered all the tax for both the corporation and the households. And, okay, so this just tells you the income won't be, okay, stay as a constant number forever, okay? So the income will be changed. So you will see, because of the income mobility, you see the income inequality will be changed, okay, through time. Okay. The cause of the income inequality, as we mentioned before, is ability, okay, based on education and training. The more you can do, the more efficient, more experience you got, the higher the money you can earn. And discrimination, we actually going to talk about the discrimination in the future, okay, in the rest of this chapter, okay. Discrimination is actually one of the major reason that cause the income inequality. So if we compare the discrimination, if we talk about different race, okay, we can talk about race, okay, and we can talk about gender, okay. So you will see, okay, in United States, okay, the race is actually, okay, the income of race will be very, very inequally through different race. Like if we compare white, African American, Asian American, Mexico American, the race income will be very, very different. And if we talk about gender, normally the male's income will be higher than female's income, okay? And this is what we talk about. We actually gonna talk about the detail of these things in the rest of this chapter. And the preference of the risk. Okay, so each people have their own risk preference. Okay, some people they don't like high risk, some people they like high risk. And you know that the risk is actually positively related to return. Okay, so the higher the risk, which means the higher the return. Okay, so if you are in a finance major or if you're in a normal business major, you know, if you're in a stock market, for some stock, okay, their risk is high, which means their return is also high. So this is based on individuals' risk preference. For some people, they are more risk averse, okay, their income may be lower, but however, their income is very stable. And for some people, if they are risks, okay, preference, okay, they like to take a huge risk, they may have a chance to earn a higher income. But however, because of the higher the risk, they may have a higher loss too, okay? And unequally distribution of the wealth, okay? So this is actually, again, this is based on all the things we talked about before, like the ability, education, and risk. And the market power. And right here, and then this is actually one of my students who actually did a group project before, which is turned to be a very, very, I think one of the best project I ever saw in my class. He find out the luck connection, okay? The first two things right here, the luck connection actually is the one of the top one reason that lead to the income equality in United States, okay? The luck and connection, what does that mean? He actually have a very, very good survey. He knows some people in NYU. Okay, you know that New York University, and you know that New York University, their finance major is actually top 1 in United States. And the people who study there, they are all, okay, the student who study in NYU in finance major, they are all, okay, some rich people's kids, okay, like the daughter and sons of the rich people. So for the people like who already go to NYU, okay, their family is already very rich. So their future, okay, compared to some poor kids from a poor family, okay, their income, okay, will be at least, okay, much higher after they graduate, no matter what university they go to. And another thing they find out that some people, they want to go to NYU is because of the connection. Okay, again, the alumni, okay, of NYU, they are so rich. Okay, so one of the major reasons why there's so many people they want to go to NYU to study finance over there is because of the connection. Just imagine all of your classmates, okay, they are belong there. There are some rich families' kids, and all of your professor and your alumni, okay, they're all the like hedge fund company manager in Wall Street. So you can build up a lot of connection during your undergraduate program. So after you graduate, okay, your salary or your income, your future will be brighter than other university. So this is actually one of the very interesting group project I ever read for my student who talk about these things, okay, about the income equality. And once again, we don't have a group project anymore, so you don't need to worry about the group project, okay? So here is talk about the cost of the income equality, okay? And here, this will give you the basic figure, tells you the top 10 income receiver among the nations, among the countries. You see for Colombia, okay, the top 10% of the income, okay, is all, okay, the top 10% of the people in Columbus, okay, in Colombia, they almost get like 50% of the nation's income, okay. Again, this is actually a very, in 2009, okay, you see in United States right here, this is in 2009, I think in 2009, United States still equal to 31 in 2009. However, if you check the figure right now in 2018, okay, this number is already grown to 56%. So again, it tells you the income become more and more unequally distributed in the United States. The rich people become rich, the poor people, the rich people become richer, and the poor people become poorer. Okay, so it just tells you these kind of things. And the income equality over time, okay, the rising of income equality is after 1975. One of the reasons why these things will be happen after 1975 is because you know what happened in 1975? In 1975, there is a period called the baby booming or baby boomers, which means after 1975, there are lots of families in the United States. They have a lot of babies, so the total population increased. Because the total population increase, you see, okay, no matter the poor family or the rich family, the more kids they have, okay, the more income inequality you have because our total population base is actually increased. The cost of growing inequality is like the greater demand for the high skilled workers. The technology grow, okay, the more and more workers they need highly skilled workers. Nowadays, I don't think they still have some pure labor worker anymore. You won't see that much of occupation that only ask you to use your, okay, like a muscle to do something, pure labor things. You need to have some skill, you need to have some experience. So you will see for the highest skill employee, the more money they're going to earn. And for the labor, the pure labor workers, okay, the less money they're going to make. And the demographic change, okay, so the demographic change, again, is talk about like, it's like the population as we talk about, like the total population increase. It also talk about if you see, I mean, This is actually a very rare case in China. Okay, in United States, okay, in United States you don't have those kind of like the one baby, one kids policy. But I don't know whether you guys heard about these things before in China. Okay, after 1978, okay, each family can only have one baby. Okay, so you will see compared to United States, where the United States they have a baby boomer, so the population is increased. And in China, okay, because the one kids policy, the total population is actually decreased. And one of the bad thing, one of the major side effect about this one kids policy in China is, in China, people are very, how to say, conservative. They always want to have a boy, okay? So you see the total boy, the males, okay, population is actually increased, and the females population is actually going to decrease. So due to that reasons, you see the income inequality is actually much worse in China compared to in United States. However, I'm not going to test anything on here. Just I want to talk about these things. These relate to these things. Okay. And another things that will cause the income inequality have the international trade. Because of the international trade, the people, the country open trade between two countries. You will see, for example, for United States, most of the United States, and this is actually one of the things that President Trump want to change. You know, during this COVID-19 things, some people, some students, they actually send me an email, ask me why for a country that strong and so powerful like America, like United States, how can a country so rich, wealthy, and developed cannot even have enough masks and cannot even have enough those kind of, you know, what do you call that thing? The machine that help you to breathe. I forgot the exact name. But however, he asked me, how can a country is the top one country in the world don't even have the power, okay, to produce enough masks? Okay, so this is actually related to international trade. If United States to produce all the masks in domestic, okay, for example, if United States going to produce all of the masks, the medical supply in the United States, the labor cost will be much higher. Okay, we talk about these things back in chapter 16 when we talk about the labor cost. So the higher the labor cost, the higher the lower the profit the company who produce this mask. Okay, so in order to have a higher profit, almost, okay, 98% of the company who producing this medical, okay, medical, or how to say, supply, okay, or what we call the PPE, personal protect equipment, 90% of this company, they actually, all of these company, they ship all of the material to another country, okay, for example, to China, okay, and to Vietnam, to produce these things. So that's one of the reasons. This is the major reason why the international trade, okay, will have a huge influence about these things. Because of the international trade, so the labor cost, it will be lower in another country, which means for the domestic market, for example, in the United States, because all the company, they put off their production line overseas, okay, abroad. So for the worker who work as this kind of thing, produce this max of these things, they will lose their job. Okay, so the income will be more and more inequality. And this is one of the major reasons. The international trade is one of the major reasons why United States, during this very, very hard time right now, the COVID-19 hard time right now, they can't even produce enough masks because of the mask factory. They are all in either China or in Vietnam. So United States cannot have enough time or enough, okay, or how to say, it's not that quickly to produce these kind of things as quickly as they can. So you see right now, most of the other company factory, they actually begin to produce this mask and this breast machine equipment. So you see, like you see Amazon is actually producing something, and Tesla actually producing the breath machine, and people, and more people, more and more factory, they producing masks. Okay, So again, none of these things, I don't think I'm going to test you these things, the international trade, because we actually going to talk about these things in chapter 24 and 25. Okay, this is actually very important in the next chapter, the last chapter we have. And the immigration. As immigration, right here, I'm an immigration. I immigrate from China. I'm not an immigrant yet. I'm still a Chinese citizen. So the immigrant people, they come to another country, they come to United States. For example, the people like me or like other international students, they come to United States, they get their degree here, they may choose to stay here. So which means in the labor market, there will be a higher, higher competitor, okay, higher competitivity, okay. So which means the labor, okay, they will have a higher competitiveness because of the immigration. Believe it or not, okay, this is actually a very, very unique, experience, okay. The immigration, you know, President Trump is actually very, very anti-immigration. He actually very hate immigration. He always try to say, I want to build a wall. I want to build a wall to stop all the immigration. And we actually going to talk about what will be the immigration influence about the labor in chapter 24 and chapter 25. In the immigration, we're going to talk about two types of immigration, okay? One type of immigration we're going to talk about is the, the talented, or what we call skilled immigration. This kind of immigration people, they actually will bring benefit to United States. Another immigration we're going to talk about is the labor only. Okay, so for example, I'm sorry if this offend you, but the example I'm going to talk about is like the Mexico, the Mexico, okay, the border, okay, the people who come from Mexico, they illegally immigrate to United States. Okay, most of the people, they come here, they're only doing the labor job, and that's actually not very good for the economy itself. Believe it or not, I actually personally, I met Donald Trump one time. Okay, before he became a president, he actually come to Norfolk several times, and I met him one time. One of our friends actually is a local church church fan in church. And he's actually a very, very rich people in locally in Norfolk. You know, the Baton building in at ODU. He actually donate a lot of money to build that the Baton physical building over there. So he's our church friend, and before President Trump to become a president, he actually come to Norfolk and he want to have some endorsement of the local business people. So our friend invite several international students to have a dinner with President Trump during that time. I still remember the first award President Trump talked to me during that time before he became president. He say, okay, talk to me, so he shook my hand and he said, okay, so you are the people who come to United States to steal our jobs. He said that thing. I think that's back in 2011 or 2012, I think, okay? So I say, okay, in order to steal your job, it's actually very, very hard. We need to get a very high degree. So for example, I need to get a PhD degree in order to stay here to work as a how to say, a foreigner worker here. So again, so this is things we're gonna talk about international trade and immigration in our last chapter. I'm not gonna test you anything from here in this chapter, so you don't need to worry about that. But however, we do gonna talk about these two things in the next chapter. So you're probably gonna see some questions that come from next chapter on your midterm 3 and on your finals. Okay. So I think we're going to stop here. I'm going to post a homework about chapter 17 and chapter 16 on Blackboard tonight. The due date will be next Friday, as I mentioned before, because we don't have a group project anymore. So make sure that you spend some time to do your homework, okay? And the answers of your midterm 2 will be shown to you probably tomorrow. So if you want to go back to study your midterm 2, you can see your detailed feedback, detailed explanation of all the questions, okay, tomorrow. Based on the result right here, I think you guys, most of you guys do a very good job. Okay, the average is around 90. So, but again, you can open book, open notes. So for the student who actually failed this midterm, they're actually very disappointing. Okay. Anyway, so that'll be all for today's class. I'm gonna see you on Monday. I hope you guys have a good weekend and stay safe and stay healthy. Okay. Do you have any questions? If not, I'm gonna see you on Monday. Okay, bye bye.